What if a successful neighborhood disappeared overnight and most people never learned about it?
Before I tell you the story, I wanted to see how many people knew about it. What brings you in today?
Just to come down to see Black Wall Street for myself. I've been to Oklahoma a couple of times, and I was in Oklahoma City. So somebody reached out to me and said, "I'll go to Black Wall Street." So see how it is. Here I am.
So, do you know the original story that happened here, like the Destroy the Massacre at all?
Well, not really right offhand, but just from like everybody else reading books and documentaries and stuff like that. So
What's your name?
Riley, Kylie, Raylan.
So have you guys ever heard of Black Wall Street?
Yeah.
So, what is your guys' knowledge so far?
My knowledge is that this was a black-owned area, and they gave us this land because they didn't want us, and we found oil, and we became self-sufficient, and they didn't like that, so they bombed this area and burned us down.
How do you grieve when no one is listening? Can a story survive if it isn't told? But to understand how a community could survive something like this, we have to go back to where it all began, before the fire, before the silence, before the loss. Because Greenwood wasn't just a tragedy, it was once a place of hope. In 1906, a man named O.W. Gurley bought land in Tulsa, Oklahoma. He wanted to create a place where black families could live safely, own businesses, and build wealth during a time when segregation and discrimination were everywhere. That land became known as Greenwood. Over time, Greenwood grew into one of the most successful black communities in the United States. There were grocery stores, restaurants, barbershops, churches, schools, and even a luxury hotel built by J.B. Stratford. The streets were busy, businesses were thriving, and families were building better futures for their children. Because of its success, Greenwood became known as Black Wall Street. But not everyone celebrated that success. Tension grew between the black community in Greenwood and the white residents in Tulsa. On May 31st, 1921, everything changed. A 19-year-old black teenager named Dick Rowland was accused of assaulting a white elevator operator. There was little evidence, but rumors spread quickly. A white mob gathered outside the courthouse, demanding that he be handed over. Black men, many of them, World War I veterans, went to the courthouse to protect him. During the confrontation, a gunshot was fired. No one knows exactly who fired first, but that single moment led to chaos. Over the next several hours, white mobs attacked Greenwood with guns and fire. Homes broken into, businesses were looted, and entire blocks were set into flames. Airplanes were even reported flying overhead during the destruction. By the morning of June 1st, 1921, more than 35 city blocks had been destroyed. Around 1,200 homes were burned to the ground. Nearly 200 businesses, including stores, churches, schools, and the Stratford Hotel, were lost. An estimated 8,000 to 10,000 black residents were left homeless overnight. Families ran with what only they could carry. The exact number of lives lost is still debated today. Official reports at the time listed 36 deaths, but historians now believe that as many as 100 to 300 people were killed. Many bodies were never properly recorded, and some were buried in unmarked graves. Millions of dollars in property and wealth were taken or destroyed. Insurance claims were denied. Generations of progress were erased in less than 24 hours. What was left behind were ashes, empty streets, and a community forced to start over, carrying grief, fear, and the weight of being unheard. Greenwood was destroyed, but it was never erased. Its buildings were burned, but its story survived. And as long as we continue to tell the truth about what happened here, the silence will never win again.
rise of racial violence that was happening up until 1921. And then even after this community is a victim of that racial violence, they were still able to rebuild and thrive yet again. It took, a coordinated effort from the city to, take that away from them again. So I think the resilience is one of, if not the most important thing that should be taken away from this story. And then, of course, white supremacy is unacceptable, but, it often culminates in this sort of violence. So I think it's a very good case study for,
Today, only a small part of Greenwood remains. We have about 1 block left. It's beautiful, and it represents strength and survival. But it's only a piece of what once was.
Hi, I'm Garcia Gomez. May I ask what your name is?
My name is Cindy Cosper, and I am the manager here at our family business at Black Wall Street T-shirts and souvenirs.
What led you to have the shop here?
So we opened the shop in January of 2020. We were a print company, so we had a business about a mile away from here starting in 2014. That's when we started printing. And so there was just a desire to come down to the Greenwood District, and we were able to do that and open our shop down here. And so just as a portion of carrying on the legacy and, and bringing a family business back down here, is one thing that most people don't know, that we are descendants.
And should be learned about to this day to many young teens and college students as well.
Absolutely, I agree.
So thank you. You have a great day.
You're very welcome.
There used to be over 35 blocks filled with homes, businesses, dreams, and a life. We deserve more. The land that was taken, the community that was lost. It mattered.
Elena Beverly. I'm the executive director of the Greenwood Trust. And the trust was developed by Mayor Monroe Nichols in 2025.
What barriers still exist for Black Wall Street and businesses today?
Well, certainly there is a lack of access to capital, and that's part of what the Greenwood Trust is going to help reverse, right? We are going to make sure that we're providing no interest grants and loans or low interest grants and loans to entrepreneurs. We're going to make sure that we're helping to create businesses that are also creating employment. We are going to make sure that we're helping to create businesses that are advancing innovation, that are using, for example, technology and really getting it to the forefront of Tulsa's economy. And we're going to build a pipeline to industry and emerging industries. And
how can young people today support economic growth and reform in their communities?
It starts with going through school. And getting certification or getting your degree and helping to build that business that attracts people to Greenwood and attracts people to Tulsa and helps to build that new economy. It helps to identify what would make your community more attractive and helping to build that yourself. So it might be a long-term strategy, but it starts with you and everyone thinking about how do you make your community better, and how do you commit to coming back to or staying in and building out your community to be the economic force that you want it to be.
Well, thank you for having us today. We love to hear your word on everything about Greenwood, and yeah, thank you.
Remind everybody that we have the power to change things. We have the power to make Greenwood come to life in ways that are reflective of historic Black Wall Street, and we have the power to build a better future. And you shining a light on this as a young person is exactly what we need. So thank you for doing it.
I first learned about the Tulsa Massacre from a family member. At the time, I didn't fully understand how serious it was, but it stayed with me. As I got older, I began to realize that this wasn't just another story from the past. It was real. It happened to real families, real businesses, and a real community in Greenwood. Learning the full truth changed the way I see history. That's why I chose to create this documentary, so people my age can understand what happened and why it still matters today. Because history isn't just about the past. It shapes who we are, and it shapes who we choose to become.